All right, welcome everyone. We are back for what is now episode 43 of the M Product Podcast, and we have the band all back. We got Quinny and Tony Watt back in the building. How are you doing, gents?
Well, I've been a missing man. Lads, I've had a rough 3 or 4 months. Driving up to Dundee and back. And now obviously I'm a bit more settled. I can join the gang and my head's back.
That's it, back in the game. How's life treating you at the new club? And you say you're settled in now. How's the settling in process been? Lads made you feel welcome there? And
easy. It's been brilliant. Went into a winning team that's doing well. Yeah, I can't complain. I know the manager, know all the players. Buzzing.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you got that move, and yeah, glad to hear that it's all kind of moving in nicely, nice and smoothly. Quinny, how are you getting on, sir?
I'm buzzing, mate. Looking forward to the weekend. We're just chatting there before coming on about the amount of quality teams we've kind of all got going out at this point. You know, players in different regions and all the rest of it. But yeah, no, it's great to see you, Tony, staying in the Scottish Prem, staying with St Mirren, like you say, manager that you had before when you were in great form, because we were all worried you were going to red X on us, you know. So, we're all glad you stayed in the Scottish League. I
actually done a deal for my unique card, and then I needed a super rare, so I goalie. So I done a deal with PSU fans, and then spent my money whatever on the goalie, and realised I might need to repay him the money back for the thing if I went to an English team. So no, I'm happy just to still be in the SO5 grind.
Quinny, before we get too far into it, Channy has just said Quinny's on the wrong mic, I believe. Don't know if you want to check your audio settings. So mate, use the nice one you got in front of you. Let's have a listen.
Great catch, Channy.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
You get the difference it makes. It's amazing. Cheers, Channy, in the chat. So here we are again, lads. We are live on Twitch. Shout out to everyone who's joined us. We got a nice strong following already in the chat. I'm sure we got lots to get through this week as well. First things first, any end product in the last week since we last jumped on for either of you?
Oh, Quinny, you can go first. I'm just typing out an email about Sorare, but no, there's been a bit of end product for me, yeah.
Oh, nice. Quinny?
Last week there wasn't much going on for me. I don't think actual rewards I pulled out too much, to be quite honest with you, mate. I need to actually double check, but I don't think. I just got some ETH or whatever last week. Nothing much for me. I'm more kind of looking forward end product wise. I had no midweek action on the go or anything. But I'm sure Tony will tell us he's been on great form, and I quite enjoyed watching Tony open some rewards over the week as well, which was good to see. But no, nothing for me, buddy. Last weekend.
Yeah, I managed to pull a half decent one actually. I finished. I think in the end I finished 18th in Rare Pro. So I got a nice bit of Ethereum there, and I managed to pick up a Fabio Barini, which I think is a pretty decent reward in terms of the weekend scoring. The concern obviously with the situation out in Turkey and what that might the effect that might have on an SO5 perspective in terms of maybe cancelled fixtures and stuff. I haven't had a chance to look, but I picked up him, and I got also like Ivan Leguizamon, who is playing I think in the Argentinian league somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. He's playing in the Argentinian league. He's 19. You know, he gets on most games. He's not putting up any big scores just yet, but might be worth holding on to for the future. So quite happy with a bit of end product for the weekend. Was looking pretty unlikely until the last game. Went down to the almost Mendy putting on a decent performance in that Monday night fixture, which for a little while did actually have me in the star pool, but very happy with Barini in the tier 1. I think that's decent. What about you, Tony? You what did you get out of
Marcus Thuram? Which would have been good 3 or 4 months ago, but he's been chilling on the bench.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last couple of games. So I just traded him towards Duke Lopez and Fekir.
Oh, nice.
RUV. So Fekir's more a kind of long term for me because he's got Real Madrid this weekend, and then
he's injured, isn't he?
He's got an ACL.
Is he? Oh well, that's more a long term then. I didn't know that.
Aye. I thought that was a play. Because I was looking at super rares, man. They've never been so cheap.
No, yeah. I was wondering why it was so cheap, but I'm happy just to hold on to that as well.
Yeah.
When did they do that? The weekend there?
It's like within the last 5 days or something.
Yeah, I missed that. But to be fair, that's not even so for me because he's a big card. Like I was wondering why he was so cheap.
He's players like that as well. Like, you know, I think it happened with Verts, didn't it, recently? And when that happens, the price drops quite drastically. But it is an opportunity to pick one up. Players like that, you know, Fekir is such a good all-around scorer for a forward as well.
Maybe you're right about the super rare. That could be a long-term buy.
What's his super rare trading at right now?
0.6 or something.
Less 0.5, it's in.
Wow, that is seriously cheap. I was looking at picking his rare up pre-season for 0.8 for his rare.
Yeah.
So if his super rare is down there,
plus he'll be back. Maybe what?
Well, by the end of the season, and the season ends, but he might be back in
September, October,
months into the season.
Yeah.
You'll know better than us, Tony.
It might not be an ACL, it might be an MCL or something, because the report I've seen around the injury, it referenced a game on April 10th as being like, I don't know why, it was a Spanish tweet, but April 10th was referenced in it for some reason. Like, Betis play Real Madrid on April 10th or something. It was weird. So it's a bad injury. I don't know if maybe it's a full ACL or maybe it's something else that's in that, you know, kind of realm that's not quite a full, not a work situation, a full year. But I noticed it because that Carlo Holsa, that Rosenborg super rare I won 2 weeks ago, I've been kind of looking to see if I could move him into something better, and I thought, well, Fekir might be someday. So I was looking at him right before he got injured, and the super rare even before the injury was like 1.2, 1.5, which I found relatively tempting, you know. And then like a few days later, I went back and looked at it, and it was like, where you see it now, I was like, what the hell's happened here? That's just bananas.
That's a bit of madness, but do you know what? I'm not even upset about that because it's a good card to have long term.
Definitely, he's a big player. I think in terms of like champ forwards as well. If you play champ, if you did have a super rare of a player who scores that well, even, you know, he's one of them forwards that if he gets the decisive, he can be close to the hundreds. Like, he's that good all around.
Very good.
A bit like we've seen with Cherky since, you know, the turn of the year with that all around. Do you know who else has surprised me as well? Actually, I have Ferran Torres, and obviously he's been bench fodder for most of the season, but in the sort of the weekends where they've had rotation off the back of the Man United fixture, he found himself starting a couple of times, and he put up like a 70+ score just on all around for a forward.
I just noticed that. I just checked that there.
So I had a little look, and I noticed like Barcelona Twitter were kind of like saying he's pushing for a start against United. I'm going to use him this weekend in my cap modes because I expect him to start. I think
even at the weekend there, he got a 32.3 all round.
Yeah. 2 games in a row that he started, he's all around has been a massive. So I'm hoping to get some use out of him. I think Lewandowski's missing the weekend, so he's expected to start, and I'm going to put him in one of my cap modes, I think, because he's got an L15 of like 30 because he often just comes in off the bench. But when he started, he's putting up really big scores. So if he can add a decisive to that, he could be hitting 100, you know, against a weaker opposition. And I hopefully
I would say about
stakes his claim for the starting lineups going beyond.
What I would say about Ferran Torres is see if you switch between midfield and forward, there's a big difference in those scores. Because I've got a mid card, and I noticed he was scoring pretty well as well. But if you are going to maybe pick one up off the back of seeing his form, because I think he's expected to play at the weekend as well, make sure it's a forward card if you're yet to get one, because there's a big difference in the points there.
I just noticed that.
Yeah, that's the one I've got. I picked him up before with the view of using him as a U23 forward during the World Cup.
Quality.
He picked up a couple of, you know, decisives, but since the World Cup, you know, his price has just kind of dived a little bit. Obviously, I think a lot of prices have, haven't they? I swear. Yeah,
everybody's did. I actually picked up a Ivanusic from Zagreb.
Stack going. What's your current stack situation, Tony? Because you're a player who always likes to put
I like how
teams together, defensive and offensive. What's your current situation? We've had Benfica and Galatasaray, haven't we?
Galatasaray is more like a kind of mixed That's more a super rare because it's older players I can kind of afford. I've got a full Dynamo Zagreb stack limited. They won me about a quarter of their worth at the weekend, which was good.
Nice.
I've got a Real Madrid one, which is harder to pick than a Celtic one. Jesus. I've not had any luck with that. And then, the Zagreb one, I just picked up a Ivanusic for like 0.07, the rare.
Incredible price, man.
In his last 2 scores, he's went over 95. Like, I know he scored 2, but even the game before he didn't score, he got a 47 and a 1-0 win. Like, there's potential there. Plays all the games. Like, I've got quite a few kind of half stacks, to be fair. Benfica still, they're mostly in the Rare Pro though for me now. There's 3 Benfica lads. I sold Joe Mario. It hurt me. It broke my heart, but I just couldn't not sell him at that price. Like,
the peak up.
It was just. I knew for a fact he would. He's got to drop. He just has to drop. His floor right now is 0.79, which isn't a true valuation, right?
0.7.
Yeah, his floor, and but his scores are a scandal. He's one of the best players in the game, but I think I sold him for 0.55 and Bart Verbruggen limited, but there somebody sold him for 0.69. Like, it's just madness. Like, I think I might have got him for. I bought him in the summer for 0.25. And then I think I even made profit on him because I had his championship card. I bought that and flipped it.
Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking there about selling a player who's on form. That's one of the hardest things to do on the platform. But I think in terms of like trading your way through the game, it's the most sensible thing you can do.
Yeah.
It is the hardest and most sensible thing is like selling players who are at the top of their form. At the top of their price range as well. I mean, long term, you'll look back on that. It's a little bit like, I always think back to maybe almost a year ago now. I think we were coming up to the end of the season and we were talking on this podcast about that offer I got for my Veerman Super Rare.
Yeah.
Like that 9 ETH offer. Like, you know, I won't get anywhere near that for it now. It'll probably be like 2.5 to 3 ETH maybe for a Veerman Super. But he's definitely one. I was looking back on Sorare base at like what that card has yielded since, because I figured that, you know, it could earn me that over the course of a year. And I think before prices changed and stuff like that, it could have. But I think he has earned me in rewards and ETH here and there about another 2.5 this year already.
Bro, you take that, and that's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
I was selling them and I made maybe say 0.5 ETH on the Benfica stack at the start of the season, but they would have grinded me about 6 ETH worth of cards, like, which is fine, totally fine. But my thing just now is like, super rares, do I sell them or do I keep them? Because right now they're low, but I know they can grind me results. Like, like I bought a William Carvalho for like maybe 0.35, 0.4, whatever. But for the capped modes, he's brilliant because he either throws up a 21 or he throws up a 60.
Yeah, I've got him as well. Same.
And he's not getting any worth to sell, but he's actually got a worth to my club. And like, I think long term, my plan is to go super rare and above. Like, even if it was weaker teams, because
in the uniques, is that like in the future for you, do you think?
I think a couple years down the line, but not now. But I just think, see, when next year's cards get released and there's another 100, then I just want to grind super rares and try and shift onto that and make rare kind of like my limited. But my gallery's in the best place it's been. Like, I've got I don't want to bore you, but I've just lined up 2 all-star teams. Is it all-star? Maybe one's capped 240 maybe, and one's all-star. And they're not even my strongest team, but I've got a Baratza in goals, Mekele, who's a monster, Fagundes, who's a monster, Ivanusic and Pepe. And that's my second strongest team. Like I could never have done that a year ago. My gallery's down lower, but I was saying that in the chat. We have the Sorare one, the bigger one. People are saying my gallery's lower, this and that, but I always say, see if you buy one house, right, and it ends up, you buy it for £1 million, ends up yielding you 5 houses, but the house is now worth 500 grand. You hold it, you don't need to sell it. It's worth as much as you want it, but you've got another 5 houses, and it's the same with Sorare. I can't explain how much stronger my gallery is than what it was when it was maybe 20th or whatever, or maybe a bit more.
Yeah, I think all the new game modes as well, there's so many more places you can use your cards, but if you know where to place them, I think Quinny's always been like a big on the All-Star, like those divisions, but we haven't spoken to you, Tony, since those changes came in, where now, if you finish in those sort of top 30 on the Rare Pro or top 100 in All-Star Rare, you're actually winning money on top of the cards that you're winning, which the first time that happened for me was this weekend when I think I landed 18th in All-Star Rare Pro, and you win a decent card, but to get that ETH on top of it, it's like
massive.
It's massive. It's actually
even in limited. I won 0.01 from a Zagreb stack, and it might not be a lot, right? But the card I won was only worth 0.022. So adding that up, I know I spent more on them, but I said it in my video last night. Adding that up, you could get a Zagreb stack, 7-8 players who are going to play for 0.13, say 0.12, just to make the numbers right. That's a quarter of the value. So that's only one weekend, and they win most weekends.
Yeah.
For that, it's madness. And that was with Misic and Peric not even having their best of games. I think Peric maybe got an assist, but usually it hits 90s.
Crazy, yeah. When you think of it like that, it is a good. I think, like, speaking to like neutrals or people that haven't got involved yet, I feel more comfortable now telling people that and knowing full well that, like, I can say it with my chest that this is the best time to get involved on the platform that I've ever seen. 100%.
Yeah.
Like, you can genuinely come in and maybe win something with a very low input. I know a lot of people in the sort of community are moaning at the moment that maybe the emphasis is too much on new users and free to play, but I think that that should be the long-term strategy, is get them in now. Get them, show them the ropes, get them used to it.
But do you know what, everybody's going to moan, isn't they?
Yeah, we know that, don't we? I think the Sorare community just loves to moan about stuff in general. But yeah, I feel the market is down a bit. If you invested way more than you should have done, you might be really panicking at the sight of your gallery value if you had the intention of getting in, earning, and then selling up. But if you're not thinking about selling up, if that's not something you're thinking about, I don't really look at my gallery values down quite a lot, probably about 20% as well. But I'm similar to you, Tony. Like I feel most weekends now that I've got like quite a lot of lineups that should be in the mix.
They can now make that 20% up.
Yeah, exactly. If I can win, like that win on the weekend, winning that Barini, if I could win in 5 divisions like that every week, that money would soon compound and go up. And, if and when the crypto market takes an upturn, it will take Sorare with it, definitely as well. Like when ETH is in a bit more of a like positive situation, it's not quite the same as like other NFT projects in that sense, but it will slowly like bring things up with it, I find. We haven't had that situation in the crypto market for a while either. So
I kind of think we don't want any movement in ETH. I'm kind of happy with ETH just to stay around where it is now. Because I think when Sorare in the past has had some of these opportunities where like Bayern and Real Madrid and PSG and all the big teams first came on, ETH also went balubas. And that caused, don't get me wrong, lots of people made lots of money in the market and all the rest of it, right, at that time, and it was great. But in terms of like for new users coming on, going through all that stuff, it's just such an unnecessary, like from Sorare's perspective, and like just the managers, like a thing to worry about and know about. You're then checking ETH prices every day. How much is your wallet worth now? It was 90 quid last night. Now it's 70. The more it's 120. So like, I think ideally, like I would just love the crypto market to freeze like right now for like a long time and just like stay as is, and we can just get on with the football part of it.
I think that makes sense from a Sorare perspective. Definitely, like stability of the market. Like you said, like if you've just got involved in it now, and we haven't had any of that real volatility for a few months now, have we? So all those people who maybe signed up during the Premier League, they won't have experienced anything like that, and might not for a few months. But when they do, it just creates a whole nother problem, doesn't it? I suppose
that's what we'll talk about when it happens. You know,
I just don't see the prices dropping any lower though, because Van Aken for 0.3 is absolutely scandalous. When I first came on, he was like 1.5. Like, it's just a madness. Like, even see your man Pepe for Porto, I got him cheap, but like his scores are amazing for a forward, and he's like 0.28. Like, it's the best time to buy if you want to make a monster squad for me.
Yeah. The guys like that, see the ones you just said there, Tony and João Mario, a lot of these guys have got lots of cards, lots of rares, you know, and that can be a good situation as well, like to pick them up in that price, because there is just many more of them floating around, you know.
But then it becomes who picks them in the best lineup, which is quite good as well. But
totally.
But back to that point I said, like, if I can transition, the limiteds for me are just grinding cards, trying to grind cards and be stronger than everybody else because I can afford to do it there. Rare, I'm trying to get my best teams there, and then eventually I probably want to transition into super rare and just try and get as many teams as possible there, because even though the rewards aren't great, people will start trying to go there because there'll be too many cards, which is fine, because if more users on board, that's fine, but the aim for me would be to try and go up the divisions.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm just having a look now at like what I mean. My main problem at the minute when I'm doing lineups is I'm in that position now that I kind of semi-planned for, with all the cap modes and that, holding on to super rares, making sure I've got options to fill out as many of these super rare teams, needing a goalkeeper for them now. You know, you can't use a rare goalkeeper in the super rare division, so I needed to pick a few. I've been quite fortunate. A couple of goalkeepers got moves. A couple of them have found themselves number one, at least for now, maybe. But I feel like my big headache is should I be looking at cap 240 super rare as opposed to U23 super rare? Because I think if you hit a big card on U23 super rare, you're laughing. But if you hit the threshold on cap 240, then you're also winning a card which probably won't be as good as like the U23 super rare division, but you've also got that Ethereum. And what is the Ethereum at the moment? It's like so if you get over 250, it's 0.063. That's the big headache for me at the minute, is trying to figure out where to put my good cards. What are your strategies at the moment, Quinny and Tony? Like, where are your good cards going as it stands?
My prioritization I've went is through the money, kind of what we said earlier. Yeah. So like I've went every place where there's money, I'm building the best teams for them first, and then whatever's left, let's go and have some fun with, you know. Because like, just to be straight, like this is like my life, so I kind of need all the money that's going to come in my direction, you know. And the first week that they put all this money stuff on, it was quite a fortunate week for me. That's when it was 2 weeks ago when they first launched it. I hit every money spot. I got all 3 240s, you know, limited rare super. I get top 30 in All-Star Pro. I get top 100 in rare pro, or rare, sorry. Top 10. I get podium in super rare. And it's obviously lovely when all that lands. But like you mentioned before, like proper like money hitting the wallet is beautiful. And that's a priority for me.
How much did that all amount to? Like all of the money prizes that weekend? Can you remember?
About $1,000.
Wow.
That was for third. So that was a third place podium, like 80th or 90th in All-Star Rare, and then like 18th in Rare Pro, or maybe 28th for something, nothing amazing. And then all the little 240s.
And you won the Holster that weekend as well, the Super Rare, right?
And I got the Holster, and I got Ward Prowse.
What a weekend. I need one of them.
It's a good one.
Need a weekend.
I'd love one of them as well.
Aye.
Yeah,
a good one.
I think that we've had this conversation a few times about my gallery, and I look at it and it's like the value of my gallery should be winning more than it is. But I think a lot of the cards that I hold are like long term when they come good. So a lot, like my gallery value is quite high, but I'd say like about 15 to 20% of my cards are actually not usable at the moment because they're players that need a move or injured or or young prospects that I've picked up cheap because they'll come, one under 23 goalkeepers that are like benched or whatever, that kind of thing. So maybe, I don't know, it's hard sometimes to look at my gallery value and think, why am I not competing more? But I think that's where my problem is. Where am I putting my big cards? Because it's so hard not to look at U23 super rare when you've got a goalkeeper who's a U23. But at the moment, the only thing that's kind of swaying me one way or the other is how strong that fixture is for my U23 keeper. This weekend, I've got the option of Gaetan Kook, who has a tough fixture, or Tani, who plays away to Vissel Kobe and might not even be the starter. So it's like, it's a risk already going into U23 with my strong cards, because the goalkeepers could essentially like nerf the rest of the team in any mode that I use them in. I think my best super rare goalkeeper option this week is Carlos Acevedo, but the form that Santos are in at the moment, I don't fancy him to keep a clean sheet either. And as we know, you kind of need those clean sheets at the moment, don't you? Especially in super rare. You definitely don't want 3 goals conceded anyway. If you get 3 goals conceded, you're nerfed. But, if your goalkeeper can keep a clean sheet, you could get quite high up the table. If he doesn't keep a clean sheet, but still has like maybe a 40 or a 30, a 35, 50 score, you can scrape your way in somewhere. But the goalkeepers are everything, especially in cap mode without those bonuses. I just find I still haven't won a threshold in cap 240 in super rare, and I've not really been close to it either.
Same, because all my keepers have just absolutely chopped it.
Yeah, that's the same. And because the weekends that my goalies have had a good fixture, I've naturally taken them into their region or into U23 or into, All-Star Super Rare as well is quite a nice option these days because of that money. Like Quinny was saying, that money's there to be won if you've got a really strong lineup, and if you've got a unique as well. Like that is another thing. Is like if I've got uniques with a good fixture, it would be silly of me to put my best cards in cap mode where I can't use my uniques. So this weekend I've got Levitt, who has an okay fixture, but he's not been in the greatest form. Or I've got a Yumu Seko, who has an okay fixture, but he's one of those players that will either put up a 30 or put up a 70 plus, and yeah, I can't use him in cap modes because I don't have enough uniques. But yeah, it's I
fancy the Dundee United game this weekend Stish to be a funny one, because Jim Goodwin's just got the job and also just get sacked by Aberdeen. So that game will either be like Aberdeen will run all over Dundee, or Dundee United could, like, Jim Goodwin could beat Aberdeen. That could be,
I think he'll get a bounce. I think they've got good enough players to get a bounce, and
could be a good game for it.
Yeah, I think it could be a really good game, to be fair. I think he's a good manager. I think he's shown that. But Aberdeen sometimes can be a tricky club, and Dylan Levitt's a good player. Simple as that. Is sometimes you just need a wee arm round your shoulder, and his unique's not a bad card to have, put it that way.
Yeah. He's got utility for years. I think the thing that I like about him as well is, like, obviously they're struggling at the minute down there. They need a run of form. He needs a good run of form. And you'll know better than anyone, like, that there'll be players that need, like you said, that need that arm around them or something, and maybe a few changes in personnel can hopefully bring something good there. And it's I think they're better than the position that they're in the league at the moment. I'm surprised that they're still down there. I think they've had a rough start to the season, obviously, and it's just, I've watched them a fair few times, obviously, seen how yourself, Tony, been getting on there, and Dylan as well, to check in on his performances. But how do you think? Do you think that they'll finish the season strongly? Do you reckon they?
Yeah, I think Jim Goodwin should do all right. I think he's a good manager. He'll kind of turn things around. It's just difficult, isn't it? Because time's now ticking in terms of getting results, but they've got so many good players on us. I believe in the squad in terms of the ability. So yeah, I think so. It's just I'm probably not the most. I don't see it day to day now, so I don't know how he works, etc. But I'm guessing, it all adds up to doing well. Yeah,
I'm fingers crossed. I think I might keep an eye on that game on the weekend. Like you said, it's one of it's one of the most interesting fixtures that Levitt's had from an SO5 perspective for a little while. And as it stands, I've put him in my All-Star Super Rare as opposed to U23. I don't know. I think it's just thrown up so many questions, all these new cat modes and game mode for me. It's
yeah, I've just went and bought a Brandon Meckley. I was saving up money for a goalkeeper, and see while you're talking, I've just bought a Meckley because I've just opened up another league to go in. And so if anybody wants to donate me a real goalkeeper for 6 weeks, then thank you. Jesus, I can't stop just adding pieces to my.
It's the price as well, isn't it? It's very tempting at these prices, like
very tempting.
Some of them.
It's good when I've done the similar kind of thing over the last month. Like I bought in a Gabri Vega like super rare about a month ago, and I didn't need another midfield super rare. But it's kind of one of those ones where you see a guy sometimes you're like, man, he would just go so nicely in my club right now. Like whether I need him or not, the price is too good to refuse. Let's just get him in, man, and we'll deal with it later.
Yeah,
you need to make those moves sometimes in so rare, because with blues and reds and blacks in particular, you know, like sometimes great prices, they don't come around all the time in Europe, and whoever's opinion we're talking about here, you know.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, like, I could probably have done without getting them, but because I need a goalkeeper, because then it opens up a cap 220 team for me, but then I don't know. It's just
I'm not sure 220 is worth opening a team up for.
I know, but I've got 4 super rares. I just need a
rare keeper.
Bang average rare goalkeeper. Like,
okay, I can take that.
Which somebody just puts up 40 points because.
Do you know who's super cheap now at rare? David Marshall.
I know. I was looking at him and I was trying to get a deal going, but somebody messaged me saying they don't swap.
No.
I made a couple of offers. He is, but people just aren't selling it. I think he went on auction last night.
Auction as well.
Is he the Hearts keeper that's out injured?
Hibs. No, that's Gordon.
And he's fit.
Oh, Gordon, I'm getting mixed
up. And he's good.
Yeah. David Marshall, yeah.
I think his age is kicking in. People that don't know him will just think, oh, he's 37. It's the second half of the season and his price is just tanking. But he'll be here next year.
Not a bad one. He's at 0.2 floor just now. Just
Tony's best pal.
And I'm my good mate. Just there's so many decisions to make. I've been doing my teams for about 3 days and they're still not set. Like, I've just changed my Benfica team from All-Star Pro to All-Star because Bruges play tonight as well. So I'll have 3 Benfica, 2 Bruges. And Bruges play Ostend, which they should win.
The Benfruge stack.
The Benfruge, yeah. Club Fika. Just so many decisions to make, lads.
I've got so many lineups. Like I was saying to a friend of mine, I think I've got last weekend I had like 30 lineups. And I looked at them and I think there was only 5 that I thought, you know, were like kind of like chuck a team in because I've got cards. There was a solid like over 20 that were like should be competitive. And I think at the moment it stands like quite similarly. The only worry I've got this week actually, which I think there'll probably be a few viewers, listeners that can relate, is we had the issue with K-League last weekend. We should probably cover that on the podcast. So Rare announced a few weeks back that the K-League scoring was going to be a little bit different this season. They weren't going to have in-play stats updated like in real time during the games, but that Opta or the stats provider should update them within 48 hours of the game's finishing. So game week goes ahead. I started to not panic, but started to become a bit concerned on Monday morning when the games that had finished by that point, I think it was the Ulsan game, which was the first fixture, had been over 48 hours. It was 50 hours and we still hadn't seen any scores on that. A few hours later, that score did get updated and then Daegu got updated, but 2 fixtures never got their scores updated and still are not updated now, like a week on. And it's like, what can you do in that situation? I mean, obviously a lot of it's out of So Rare's hands. I noticed that a tweet this week from B Pro, who are the official data suppliers to the K-League this season. So I'm not even sure that Opta are covering the K-League this season at all. I think it's a completely different team of data scientists, which froze up a lot of questions, and it's really made me doubt it's not maybe doubt, it's made me think about where I'm putting my Korean players. Obviously, I've got quite a few Seoul cards. I've got Ulsan cards, I've got Daegu cards, and a few other bits and bobs. And for this weekend, I just won't put them in any lineup that I want to bang. So at the moment, I've just had to stick them in Asia Rare Pro. And the team is absolutely amazing. It's like Jeo Hyun Woo, Seo Young Woo Super Rare, so like a little Ulsan defensive stack. Go Jae-hyun, who is a forward for Daegu, U23, a really good one. He put up an 80 last week, even, with all the mess with the scores. Sasinya, captain. So a double sort of Daegu forward attack. And then Osmar, super rare in the middle. Like, that team could be right up there. If, this time last season when we had the regular sort of scoring for Korea, I could put that team in All-Star Pro and feel very confident that I'll be amongst the cards or close to it, or, you know, on the right weekend, might even hit up near the podium somewhere.
But that's the problem with Sorare. They need to, if they're selling the cards, they need to make sure that it's covered.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I don't know. Obviously, they make their deals with the leagues, right? And I imagine the league, I'm just assuming that the league did not tell Sorare that they were changing their deal from Opta to B Pro. And obviously that, no other, Sorare, as far as I'm aware, don't get anything from B Pro for any other league. So it not only throws up a situation where you are dealing with a data operator that you don't have a pre-existing relationship with, but they've just signed a deal with, like, when the K-League did all of their sort of photo days and stuff for the launch, Sorare's logos are everywhere. I think they're one of the main sponsors of the K-League this season. And this is just the situation they found themselves in now. Like, I wouldn't want to be the person whose job it is to deal with this at Sorare, but like, it is a mess. And there's a lot of people, a lot of people who listen to this show as well. I know we always have Korean users in the chat, but it's a difficult situation for anyone who, there's a lot of people out there that literally just play Korea. And at the moment, they're going to be throwing their lineups in, not sure if they're going to score like a 35 flat score for starting the game or get their all around. And we can speculate on last weekend. I think it was the Jeju home game and the Daejeon Citizen home game. So if it's down to the cameras they've got at those grounds, maybe you want to avoid those two teams. Over the next couple of weeks, I think it will become you will be able to spot patterns. If this weekend it's those two home fixtures again that are not covered, we might be able to start thinking, well, we'll avoid that game. Or, maybe you will avoid the late kickoff on the Sunday because it might not come in time for the game week closing. Little things like that are already going through my head. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds. But have either of you got any Korean cards that have been affected by this, or do you kind of like not really have much of that in your galleries?
Just Ki Sung Young, and I don't need to play him now. I will maybe need to play him at some point, but I don't need to play him now. So I'm happy to just watch from afar and
try and avoid
see if I can use him this year or not, because the Ki Sung Young card has been a forever pain in my ass since I bought it. So it's just another chapter for me with Ki Sung Young.
Yeah. We've got people in the chat. So Simply Alex is in the chat. Hello, Alex. He says it absolutely sucks for K-League managers, but surely Sorare are in talks with the new data provider and it shouldn't be an ongoing problem for too long. I'd like to hope so. I think if it is a new data provider, you'd maybe like what sort of doubts you might have. Hopefully it is a camera thing and they just need to get certain cameras into certain positions in certain grounds. And then by the, match day 3 or 4, things will be hopefully back to normal. But I think just it's that in-play data. Until we see that, there'll always be that anxiety and that doubt hanging over your head when you're looking at your scores. Is this team going to get the scores it needs? And obviously in Asia Rare Pro, you are still playing against Japanese, Chinese cards. It's difficult. It's very difficult for anyone that has like a heavy Korea situation. But we'll have to kind of keep track on that. Maybe we'll drop in the next couple of weeks and we can assess it a little bit better from 2 or 3 game weeks. Like I said, those patterns will be really interesting to see if we have any problems this weekend. Hopefully we don't. I'm sure B Pro and Sorare are making all the sort of. Well, I say B Pro, you know, I'm just assuming that Opta don't cover it at all because B Pro are now. But for all we know, Opta might still have a hand in it. There might be a way around it for Sorare to create some kind of side deal with Opta to just sort them out. I don't know. That maybe opens up a whole kettle of fish, a different like can of worms for Sorare, but difficult. There's someone in the chat who makes a good point. Tea Leaf YG. I think it'll be a problem over time. If you change the provider, how do you ensure data consistency? And I think that is a massive point. This is the point I raised with a friend of mine that didn't seem to think that using B Pro would be a problem, but it's a bit like it creates an unfair test situation, isn't it? If you talk about
it's hardly like Opta are consistent themselves. You know, how many times have we seen last man tackles for goalkeepers, and a guy goes through a match with 17 duels won, but not one of them's a tackle or an interception.
Yeah,
or, you know, there's always inconsistency. So
Plus,
I'm not really bothered by that aspect.
I've got another one, right? See this. See if you get the ball wide, you cross it in the box, guy heads it off the post, comes back and he taps it in. That should be an assist.
Because the goalkeeper's not touched it. It's
Even if the goalkeeper has touched it. No, well, so see if I do a cutback and the guy hits a shot and he comes back out and he scores it, that's an assist. See, I cross a ball, try and not make something that touches her leg slightly.
And then it's not an assist, yeah.
And it goes in, that's an assist.
Yeah.
There's no world where it's not an assist.
I think for the one where it hits the bar, I think where that will screw you over is that like Opta or somebody will record shot off target, you know, for that first one, and then they'll record second shot goal.
I know, but that's not the assister's fault. See if you slide somebody in and he hits a shot and the keeper saves it and then he hits the shot again, it's still been assisted. He's assisted that goal without that good pass. There's no assist. It's so stupid. And even the own goal, see if you smash it across the box and they tap it in, there should be a stat for that. So like own goal created, or see if you kick it towards goal, somebody handballs it, you've won the penalty by hitting the shot. So that should be another one.
Yeah.
I found out this week that I was watching the Amiens game because I had that player for Most Mendy to like try and push me into the cards. So I was watching that game closely. And he had a shot on target from inside the box, and he also dribbled his way into the box. And I didn't know this, and like you two might have known this, but I didn't realize that penalty box entry wasn't like, I thought that was touches in the penalty box or a shot on goal, or you know, like a pass from.
What is penalty box entries? I don't know.
You know what it? Yeah. Do you want to know what it is? Penalty box entry is passing the ball into the penalty box, and it's received by one of your players. It doesn't matter if you've dribbled into the box or if you've stepped foot in the box or touched the ball in the box. It's not that. It is passing the ball from outside the box into it. I never thought it was that, but I found that out today. I don't know if that's news to you two, but I was watching the game. I was like, how has he got no penalty box entries? He had a shot on target from inside the box, and then he dribbled into the box and he scuffed his shot, but he entered the penalty box at least twice in the game and he didn't have a single. But at the same time, talking about inconsistencies, obviously I watch a lot of FC Seoul, and Osmar very rarely gets up the pitch. But you might see at the end of the game, he's had like 3 penalty box entries. And I just assumed that was him going up for a corner. And he's in the box when the corner comes in. Whether he touches it or not, I don't know. But I just assumed it was a touch in the box or just being up for a corner or something like that, because obviously the defenders get it quite a lot. But now I know it's like crazy. It's there you go. It's Quinny, nice one for the song feedback, mate. Then in the chat, song feedback, best intro tune. I'll take that.
There you go. I seen I got wee points and I'll just give you them. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Little, I don't think I earn anything out of them points. I think it's just people who sort of like give the little gift to the viewers who have sort of like given us their eyes and ears. They can kind of like highlight a little comment on Twitch. But yeah, that was a bit of learning for me on the Opta side of things. Penalty box entry. So Tony, now we'll be watching you on the weekends, mate, putting them balls in the box. Like
farming people's feet.
Did the scores ping off in your head while you're playing?
No, not really.
No. If it was me, like, what about when you get in the changing room, you have a little look on your phone at your score? That must
just if we've won like say 2 or 3 now, I'll have a wee look if I've scored.
Yeah.
But no, not really. Mostly other teams I look at because my bigger teams are usually playing as well at 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah. So talking about the Saturday fixtures, Quinny, you and I are meeting up again. We're going to be heading down to Villa Park on Saturday to watch Crystal Palace hopefully beat Aston Villa. You'll be keeping an eye out for a couple of your cards. Who are you excited to be watching at that game?
Well, for SO5, it's definitely the John McGinn show for me. I have Edward in a unique kickoff with a DNP keeper, so I'm not really too excited to see Edward. I don't even think he'll start. But yeah, big McGinn super rare. Looking forward to getting that out again this weekend, and I think that's in 240. So I'm hoping that can be a big score and really get me on to maybe a decent reward in terms of a card pair. Obviously, get the threshold banked in. But I'll definitely be watching the game Tony's involved in if I can. But I don't think I'll be. I don't think I'll be cheering for St Mirren this week.
Take a draw, Quinny. Get the ball, the point.
Well, I've said it before, mate. Like, I think probably since the last time you've been on, but I think St Mirren's the best team Celtic have played this year.
Yeah, the cup game until we got a man sent off was pretty fair. Like Celtic are a really good team. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as easy as the score suggested. When we get man sent off, then it became 4 or 5-1, wasn't it? But
about all the games I've seen St Mirren play, like I say, I think they've outside the Hearts probably, and you have to give Rangers a place here in this conversation. But I think St Mirren have been the best team we've played against in that respect. Play Sharper have got you playing centre mid, Tony. So I hope you've
nice, got my boots sorted. Who does
keep those yellow cards to yourself?
I thought it was Scotland Sorare that does it. He's quite tuned in as well. It must be a mistake.
It's like I think he's got St Mirren banking in, and subsequently you're like a number 10 that's actually playing like so deep kind of thing. If you look at it, I can't remember. I've seen it this morning. So I was like, oh, he's got Tony not up front. It's like number 10, but you're in a 3-man midfield with Kiltie and Bacchus.
Right.
I've just had a little look at Play Sharper actually, and another thing of note for the game week ahead is the reopening of the Russian Premier League. We've got that. Tony, you used to have a few Russia cards. Have you got any left?
No, I got rid of them. I had Akinfeev and a few other boys, but the wait was just too long.
Yeah.
I just was wanting to play, so I just went America instead.
I
think just America because the season's extended through the summer. It was just a toss-up between both, to be honest.
Yeah, I've got a few cards I'm trying to keep an eye on in Russia this weekend. Yeah, I actually picked up a little bit hastily, but I picked up a Maximenko super rare who plays as a goalkeeper for Spartak. But I didn't realise that, there was that big brawl at the end of the season, or the season like break, if you like, between Zenit and Spartak in the cup, and there were loads of the players got like a 6-game ban, and one of them was the Spartak goalkeeper. And I noticed that in all of their pre-season or like mid-season break fixture friendlies and the cup games, Maximenko started all of them, and he barely let a goal in. And I was like, how do you drop him on that kind of form? I don't.
He was number 1 as well beforehand.
Yeah. So I picked up his cards, his super rare, and probably, it was one of those offers I sent to Pavel, and it got accepted straight away, and that always just like fires doubt into my mind.
Yeah, massive doubt.
It was like straight away. I thought, oh my god, have I massively overpaid here? Thought I was onto a winner, but like a lot of all of the sort of Russian so rare community and Russian football sites that I follow have him down to not start, and I'm like, please don't. It could be the worst deal I've made in the winter break. But I've just had a little look on Play Sharp, and I noticed that they have their Russian fixtures up. So I'm just going to have a little look now and see what they have in down as. But I've got quite a few Russia cards. I'll be keeping an eye out for Diviv. I might put him in a strong lineup, but he's only set at 60%. And I've told a few people see him. They're not sure if he's going to be fit yet. But I think let's have a look. Play Play Sharper have got Selikov at a 90% to start in goal for Spartak, so not feeling too confident about that.
No, I wouldn't.
Reactive purchase. So yeah, kind of 0.6 ETH potentially down the drain for maybe till the summer if he gets a move. Like you said, he's one of those goalkeepers that's rotated quite a bit in and out, and he's put in some good performances in the cup for Spartak.
He's only 24.
He's only young, yeah, exactly that, yeah. He was number one until recently as well. You know, he found a dip of form and lost his place to Selikov, but yeah, I probably should have. I was so desperate to get a super rare goalkeeper over like the last few months, and I picked him up probably a bit hastily. But yeah, be interested to see what happens in that fixture. But yeah, more options open again. Russia's back. That only leaves what leagues are we waiting for now? Brazil league's not fully reconsumed yet, has it? It's
I'm waiting for Norway now, like mad. The 10th of April. Yeah. I'm now mad for Norway.
When is that starting? Is that April? You got to wait till
10th of April is Rosenborg's first match.
So
it isn't that far now. It's beginning of March, so it's like not that far. International break as well is at the end of March, so right. SO5 wise, it's not really that far away, but it's in April when you've won a reward in February. It's not fun. No. But we'll get there.
I feel you, but yeah, I'm kind of in a weird way looking forward to a lot of the European seasons closing and just seeing how I get on with the American and well, I would have said the Asia cards. Hopefully, the Korea situation has figured itself out by the summer break. But last season I did really well in those closed season months. Like, I was looking, I think like August was like my biggest earner for me last year, and nice. I've sort of planned ahead to do that again this year because I think a lot of the big whale accounts are mostly focused in Champ Euro. So when that finishes, you're not competing against them in U23 and some of the other leagues that they don't really look at Asia and America so much. So, or some of them do, but some of them don't. Yeah, I think I'll still be trying to avoid Nanzo in the league tables as we do every weekend. But apart from Nanzo, I think that quite a few of the big accounts don't get as involved in Asia. You just got that MLS to worry about there. Yeah. Anything else to report ahead of the game week? Any fixtures that you've got sort of earmarked as something that might be a make or break for you this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Outside the Celtic, I think I'm quite excited to see Wirtz play at home to Hertha Berlin. No midweek football, cup or European or anything. So maybe this is the first proper. Well, I know Wirtz has hit some big scores already since he came back, but it could be good to see him, have a full week preparation at home against an opponent they should score a lot of goals against. So I'm kind of excited to see Wirtzy boy get back on.
Yeah, I've got him as my captain in the Champ Euro team. It's okay on paper.
Just Friday night football for me, Stish.
Friday night. The big one.
I've put all my players in the same team, which could be make or break, but...
Oh, it'll be great fun. It'll be a big sweat afterwards, because you'll be riding high right after. There'll be no way about it,
I hope
You'll be
so.
top for the night.
I hope so. All my teams could be snookered or they could all be buzzing. So.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have a long weekend of waiting for hoping that no teams keep clean sheets and all that kind of stuff.
To be fair, the games are back to back as well, so we've got a 19:45 and a 21:15. So.
Oh, it'll be great fun.
That'll be good.
You'll be able to watch them all as well.
Yeah.
You're going to be indoors. You're going to be keeping an eye on them.
I'll watch them.
Hey, nice. I'm just having a little look at my what I've got, and I think as it stands, my sort of strong lineup is in currently, I would say, U23 super rare, but it very much depends on that Tani start. So if Tani doesn't start that game, it's in the morning, I think, isn't it? Saturday morning, I think, against Vissel. It's a massive game for him as well if he does start. It's one of those games that he could concede 3 goals in. So Kobe look a little bit more at it already this season. That could make or break my game week. But I think the front three in that team, I've got Gabriel Florentine, who's on set pieces and has a decent fixture against Grozny for Orenburg. I'm going to captain him. I've got Cherky at home to Lorient, and I've got Jesus Ferreira at home to LA Galaxy. I'm hoping that those 3 can put up some decent scores. And then I've got my Seco unique in there at the moment. So yeah, I think that's probably like my main lineup, and they all look like they've got good enough fixtures. But I think I'll be sweating on that Korea, because I think that lineup that I mentioned earlier, I think that if those scores all get covered, that could be a little surprise package, be like a nice little bonus if that comes in and all those scores are covered properly. And so yeah, I think that will be, my eyes will definitely be on Korean football and probably on Sorare data over the weekend, seeing if those scores get updated as they should have been last weekend. But I would say those two, and obviously like U23 Res looking strong for me this weekend again. But yeah, I'm with you, Quinny. I think I'll be watching Florian Wirtz. I think that'll be decent. To take a couple of comments from the chat. Big up WP So Rare, another Gabriel Florentin fan in the chat. Love to see it.
Oh, he's going to be a monster.
Yeah, I think big. I'm up for big things for him this weekend. I think his AA is always good and good fixture. He might get among the goals or the decisives. Simply Alex in the chat says, "Do you lads think the XP rule should be changed so we don't get a Zenit situation again?" I think as of this end, I think at end of this season, all those Zenit cards will be nuked back down to 10% anyway, won't they? Because it'll be 2 years since they've not been covered or whatever, not been minted. And I think after that was what happened to my my Napoli cards this year. They all went down. Well, actually, we got Napoli cards, didn't we? But before we got the Napoli mints, just before we got them, they all kind of had their scores nerfed back down to like 10% max. Or they lost 5%, that 5% that kind of hung over the extra year. So I would say I kind of like that we've got those little outliers in the game. Whether or not, obviously, if you don't own them, you might be annoyed about it. But the fact that they are there to go out, I think it just adds a little extra dimension to it. That like you might have one of those random players who maybe moved to China and there's got like that 13% that no one else has got, and I like that about the game. I think it adds a little dimension. I think otherwise, in a few years' time, just think about how many cards will have like 10%. A lot of people have maxed out cards. I've got a few now. I think my Wirtz is maxed out now, and I think my Musiala is maxed. Yeah, I've got a 10% Wirtz, 10% Musiala, 10% Di Lorenzo, and a 10% Cruz. So like my challenger, my champion Euro entry could be pretty tasty if I wanted it to be. But at the moment, I've kind of split them up. But these, I think only because I think Cruz might not start this weekend. But I'll be keeping an eye on the news, I think, on what's going on there and figure it out. Tony, it's a Stu A. Lou says to Tony, "You must be excited for the Paisley Beer Festival next weekend. There has to be some reward for putting up with that one-way system."
I don't know what you're talking about, but I just hope there's no a one-way system on the way to training. That could be killer.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what he's getting at. That's a nice bit of local information.
Nice.
Yeah. The Paisley Beer Festival sounds good, though. I've got to say that sounds right up my street.
The centre of Paisley, where the train station is, Gilmore Street, there's a terrible one-way system round about there. Maybe that's what he's on about.
Right.
Yeah. So the beer festival, I'm assuming, shuts down the town. And it's like, that's, if you're in town, you've got to deal with that one way. And yeah, I've never even
It's
heard
like
of
the Purge or something, because it's Paisley as well. All the lights go off and everyone can I'm only joking. Paisley's beautiful.
A bit of Scottish banter that I can't get involved in, but
I don't think Tony could either, so I'll stop it myself.
Don't get used to get cancelled. Just start coating our pages
again.
Well, I think that about rounds us up, mate. I think we've got a lot covered. It's been amazing having Tony back in the building as always. Hopefully now, Tony, we could get you in a little bit more regularly.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Is this a good time of the week for you usually, you think?
Probably depends on the days off. Everything changes, but probably Thursdays, Fridays, yeah.
Decent. Well, that's what we're trying. We'll try and keep some consistency going as we can. Yeah. We've had some good super subs in. It's like getting the main man.
Better than the starting team, but
that's it.
Team.
we got the starting 11 back from injury, back from the long-term injury, back in the starting lineup. Big up everyone who's been in the chat. We've actually had a few sort of new users, I think, have probably come in to see what Tony's got to talk about. But we've had a few people in the chat even asking like what Sorare is as well. So if you are new to the channel, the podcast, the game, then welcome. We do this podcast once a week. It's usually, like we were just saying, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll kind of jump in on Twitch. And then after that, Quinny will take the files and get them uploaded and upload them to Quinny's YouTube channel. And we also upload this as a podcast to Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll find it. So thanks everyone for your ears and eyes, and good luck in the game week. Quinny, I'll be seeing you tomorrow.
Enjoy, lads.
24 hours probably, Stashy boy.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll be in the pub. I have a few beers on the way up. I'll be travelling on the way up with pretty much all the Palace fans, as I was saying off air. Without a doubt, I'll be on the train with someone that I know from Croydon who's travelling up to the Villa game. So I'm excited for it. My local team, Crystal Palace. So yeah, I'll be rooting for them to get a result. And hopefully, Quinny will get to see McGinn land you in the rewards at some point on the weekend.
We're all looking forward to Tony getting a last man tackle at the weekend for a decisive. All right, gang, it's been an absolute pleasure. Weekends. And good luck on the weekend, Tony, mate.
Thanks, lads.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.